Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB game schedule for Tuesday, September 5th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my $19 rundown best bet, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Tuesday in Major League Baseball. We see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Sonny Gray and Tanner Bybee are your starters. We got two really good starting pitchers on the mound in this one. Sonny Gray, a sub-3 ERA this season. Bybee had 3.03, but the fact of the matter is Bybee's been far more profitable as of late and overall this season than Sonny Gray. I mean, since the beginning of May, Sonny Gray's been one of the least profitable pitchers in baseball, despite having that really strong campaign. And he pitched really well against these Guardians last start. 7 innings of shutout baseball, 5 strikeouts. Yet the Twins lose that game in the end in extra innings. And, Gray's got he's got a 2.04 ERA in August and 39 2/3 innings. Yet Minnesota's only 3-3 with those 3 losses to losing teams, the Guardians, the Pirates, and the Tigers. So, it just hasn't been a profitable pitcher this season. Bybee's pitching really well at Progressive Field this year with a 2.02 ERA. Give me the Guardians on the money line. Next up, we see the Boston Red Sox taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Cutter Crawford and Zach Eflin are your starters. Cutter Crawford just not in good form right now. The Red Sox were 2-4 in his starts in August. He had an ERA just below 5 in the month and struggled his last game against the Astros, giving up 6 earned runs in only 2 2/3 innings. I know Crawford's been a lot better on the road this season, where he's got that 2.06 ERA and 56 2/3 innings, but the Rays are a very tough lineup right now for a right-handed pitcher. They're number 2 in baseball in the last month in team OPS. Eflin's been so good at Tropicana Field this season. He's winning games for Tampa Bay since the beginning of the year. I think he's a better starting pitcher. I think the Rays have the slightly better lineup, and I think they have the better bullpen in this matchup. So give me the Tampa Bay Rays at Tropicana Field. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Miami Marlins. Clayton Kershaw and Jesus Luzardo are your starters. 2 lefties that are in great form. Kershaw's last 5 games, 1 earned run or fewer. Luzardo, back-to-back shutout performances against the Rays and Padres, 12 innings combined, only 3 base hits with 15 strikeouts along the way. I think there's value with the Marlins in this game. We got 2 really good starting pitchers. The Marlins have hit lefties a lot better than righties overall this season. Luzardo's been better at Lone Depot Park this year. I also think he has the ability to go deeper into this ballgame. Kershaw going 5 innings or fewer his last 4 starts. We know the Dodgers' bullpen's been good overall this season, but had a pretty rough weekend series against the Braves. So if Kershaw's only able to go those 5-6 innings at the most, I am a little bit concerned with that. Give me Miami at plus money here at home. Next up, we see the Seattle Mariners taking on the Cincinnati Reds. Bryce Miller for the road team and Connor Phillips making his Major League debut for Cincinnati. He is a number 4 overall prospect in the Reds organization, having a good season in the minor leagues this year. Good ERA, good strikeout numbers. The control's a little bit of a concern. Does give up a lot of base runners via the walk and base hits. So that would be something I would be a little bit weary of, because this Mariners lineup has been really strong against right-handed pitching in the last month. Number 3 in baseball in team OPS, number 2 in isolated power, and they have a pretty high strikeout rate, but also a very high walk rate, which could be an issue for Connor Phillips. Also don't love this Reds bullpen, as it has some pretty bad expected numbers in the last 30 days. I'm going to take Seattle here on the money line. Next up, the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. No official starter for Pittsburgh. We should see Brandon Woodruff for the Brewers. A lean for me, just a slight lean with Milwaukee. Woodruff's in good form, giving up 3 earned runs or fewer in 4 of his last 5 starts. The Brewers' bullpen, one of the best in baseball. Pittsburgh's improved their numbers offensively against righties as the season's gone on, but I still think the Brewers are the much better team here, and they played so well against Pittsburgh this season and in years prior. Give me the Brewers laying the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Detroit Tigers taking on the New York Yankees. No official starter for Detroit. We should see Garrett Cole for the Yankees. Garrett Cole's not going to be easy matchup for him, as he just faced this lineup last week on August 30th. He gave up 2 home runs in that game. Detroit's really improved their numbers offensively against righties in the last month or so. But still, it's tough to go against the Yankees. They're probably playing their best baseball of the season. We saw them sweep the Astros on the road. They bring up Dominguez and Wells from minor leagues, and now they're playing like 4 to 5 prospects per game in the lineup. And it seems to be bringing a lot of energy to this team for once. It's been a really disappointing season for the Yankees, but playing good ball right now. I think Cole's still one of the best starting pitchers in baseball. And I think he pitches well enough to give the Yankees a win and run line cover. Give me New York laying those 1.5 runs. Next up, the New York Mets taking on the Washington Nationals. Jose Quintana and Patrick Corbin, another matchup with a pair of southpaws on the mound. Now, the Nationals we know have hit lefties a lot better than righties this season. I like their matchup here against Quintana, who's not been great on the road this year. His last road start, giving up 5 earned runs against the Braves and a 7-0 loss. And I do think Washington will be able to get to him and this Mets bullpen. On the other side, Patrick Corbin is facing a Mets team that we know the beginning of the season could not hit lefties at all, but now actually in the last 30 days, with a lot of new members in the lineup, they've actually been pretty solid against lefties. Top 15 in isolated power, top 15 in team OPS, pretty low strikeout rate, and a decent walk rate to go with it. Corbin's not my favorite starting pitcher to back, that's for sure. This Nationals bullpen, while it's been improved a little bit, still not one of the better bullpens in baseball. Give me the over here in Washington, New York. Next up, the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Atlanta Braves. No official starter for the home team. Miles Mikolas for St. Louis. Mikolas pitched against these Braves earlier this season, struggled mightily in that game. Many starting pitchers have struggled against this Braves lineup, and I think he struggles yet again, even though he's been better on the road this year with a 4 ERA compared to a 5.33 at Busch Stadium. I still think the Braves, the toughest lineup in baseball against righties this year. Mikolas is not going to be good enough. I don't think the Cardinals bullpen will be good enough either. And we'll have to see the official starter is for Atlanta, but this has been a decent bullpen this season in the last month, a 2.66 ERA and the 8th best Sierra as well. Give me Atlanta land those 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Chicago White Sox taking on the Kansas City Royals. No official starter for KC. Dylan Cease for Chicago. We saw the Royals earn an absolute blowout win on Monday, 12-1 the final score. Even without Bobby Witt Jr. in the lineup, the Royals offense was red hot, and they've been really good against righties in the second half of the season. They're facing a struggling righty in Dylan Cease in this matchup, who's given up 5 or more runs in his last 3 starts and had an ERA above 8 in the month of August. No way I can trust Cease or Chicago in this game, playing really bad baseball. Give me the Royals in the money line. Next up, we see the San Francisco Giants taking on the Chicago Cubs. Kyle Hendricks for Chicago. No official starter for San Francisco. Could be another Giants bullpen game. We've seen plenty of those this season. And I can't back San Francisco in this matchup. This team is just not scoring runs. They're 5 games below 500 on the road this season. They've had back-to-back shutout losses in their last 2 games, including the first game of this series. Hendricks has been actually better on the road than at Wrigley Field, but I still think he's the much better option in this matchup. I think his offense backs him up. Give me the Chicago Cubs on the money line. Next up, we see the Oakland Athletics hosting the Toronto Blue Jays. Ken Waldichuk and Chris Bassett are your starters. Now, originally, Waldichuk was supposed to go on Monday. The A's pushed his start to Tuesday, and it looks like he and a lot of the members of the A's bullpen should be ready to go in this matchup, as they had to rest a few relievers after pitching on Sunday and Saturday in the series against the Angels. So the A's pitching staff looks decent going into this matchup, and Chris Bassett struggled on the road this year. We know he's been much better at Rogers Center on the road this season, an ERA above 5. Bodes well for an A's team. It's top 10 in baseball in isolated power against righties in the last month. I'm going to take a shot here with Oakland plus the 1.5 runs at home. Next up, the Houston Astros taking on the Texas Rangers. Framber Valdez going for Houston. No official starter for Texas. I am seeing Dane Dunning listed on ESPN, so he could be the starter here. I like the over in this game. We know Framber Valdez kind of been a strange starting pitcher to look at in the last month. I mean, in the month of August, he had good numbers. He threw a no-hitter against the Guardians, but the Astros were still only 3-3 in his starts, so he really wasn't that profitable of a pitcher in those games. And we know he struggled mightily against these Rangers. Really, the 2 times he faced them, the beginning of the season was on April 16th. He gave up 5 total runs in a 9-1 Rangers win. The other game was at Minute Maid Park not too long ago, back on July 26th. Gave up 6 earned runs and 2 home runs in that game and a 13-5 Rangers blowout. So I don't really trust Framber against a tough Rangers lineup against lefties. But Dane Dunning also not in the best form. The Rangers not winning his games. And this Rangers bullpen's not been pitching too well either. Against a very tough Astros lineup, I think we see a high-scoring affair. Give me the over. Next up, the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Los Angeles Angels. Reed Detmers and Dean Kramer are your starters. Dean Kramer been one of the more profitable pitchers in the league this season. Reed Detmers is 3-10 right now with an ERA above 5. The Orioles have hit lefties very well this season and in the last 30 days. Detmers not really in great form, not pitching deep into ball games. His last 9 innings of work, giving up 6 earned runs, 11 base hits, and a home run to go with it. The Angels bullpen we know has not been great this season. In the last 30 days, an ERA just below 7 at 6.83 and the 6th highest Sierra. I got to go with the Orioles in this game because the Angels is not playing very inspiring baseball. Next up, we see the Colorado Rockies taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Brandon Pfaadt and Kyle Freeland are your starters. I know Pfaadt struggled in his last game against LA, but That was on the road at Dodger Stadium against one of the toughest lineups in baseball. I think this is a much more beneficial matchup for Fod, who was pitching pretty well. Honestly, even though he gave up those 5 earned runs in his last start, his ERA was still a solid 4.01 in the month of August overall. Good strikeout numbers from Fod. I think he bounces back here. We know the Rockies have struggled mightily offensively on the road this season, and I think, Fod puts together 5-6 good innings. Kyle Freeland has also struggled on the road himself, a 1-9 record away from Coors Field this season with an ERA above 5. He's only got 25 strikeouts in 67 2/3 innings on the road with 17 walks to go with it and 15 home runs as well. I know this Diamondbacks lineup's not been great against lefties this year, but this is a really good matchup for him. They have a high walk rate and low strikeout rate at least against lefties. I think that benefits them in this game. So give me Arizona laying the 1.5 runs on the run line. Next up, the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the San Diego Padres. Michael Lorenzen and Pedro Avila are your starters. Michael Lorenzen, since no-hitter, has not really been pitching too well for Philadelphia. Gave up 10 earned runs his next 2 starts against the Giants and Nationals in 2 losses for Philly. And then his last game against the Angels, it was a quality start on paper, but he gave up 8 base hits, 4 total runs, 3 of those were earned, and 2 home runs in that game, making it 4 home runs his last 2 starts. I am a little bit worried with him on the road here against a Padres team that has been decent against righties this season. Pedro Avila also not in great form, but I think he's been a little bit unlucky on the mound against the Brewers, where he gave up 5 runs. When you look at the at bats in that game and the balls put into play, a lot of those were below 500 expected batting average. So I do think he was unlucky there, and also his defense did not help him out at all last game against the San Francisco Giants. He gave up 1 earned run, but 5 unearned runs because the Padres made 3 errors, and 2 of those were Michael Batten at first base. I think Avila is the better starting pitcher right now, in better form at least. And I'm going to take the San Diego Padres in the first 5 innings. And that's it. Those are the games for Tuesday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. And don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comment section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pickdawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.